Hi, this is Steve Owens, and I've got J.Mixx in the house, who is up for a Grammy nom for Chris Brown at 1111. 1111 is my lucky number. Congratulations on that. Tell me how you get involved with the project.
Man, thank you so much. It was one of those things where, just countless hours of hard work, years of trying, and honestly, the right place, right time. It's just kind of like one of those things where perseverance, hard work meets opportunity. And I was blessed and grateful to be a part of this project. And, I mean, to be a part of something that's Grammy nominated is honestly a blessing. And I'm truly grateful. I only been out here 3 or 4 years, so I truly feel like this is like the beginning of something great. So I really feel grateful just to describe it all. It's honestly like overwhelmingly good feeling. So amazing.
Fantastic. So, what did you exactly do on the record?
Oh, okay. So when it came to the very special track, it was number 10 on the original, and I think it's number 23 on the deluxe. It was originally kind of like a pop dance record, and they wanted to add Afro to it. One of my good collaborators, Rockstar, he sent me the idea, and he was like, "Do you know how to do Afro stuff, Afro drums and stuff like that?" I said, "Absolutely." So literally within 30 minutes, I did it, sent it back to him. He called me. He was like, "Man, come over here. You got to hear this." As soon as I got to his house, literally the lyrics were already on it, and I knew something kind of special was happening. So, man, it was just an amazing moment, and thank God Chris Brown picked it to be on his album, and here we are.
Fantastic. So, are you planning on going to the Grammys?
Man, if I can get the tickets, absolutely. I definitely plan on going. I mean, that was a dream of mine ever since I was a kid. I mean, my mom's done music her whole life, so this is kind of like a full circle moment for my family. So this would be amazing. So I intend on going and finding my way in there. So yes.
And speaking of family, you grew up in a house that's blues oriented. And has that influenced you in your music process?
Absolutely. I mean, growing up on the road, like my mom literally until I had to go to school, she was taking me all over the country, traveling with her. She was going all over the coast, coast to coast, all over the country. And like they listened to everything from like James Brown, Tower of Power, I mean, everything, blues, like Bobby Blue Blend, I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Luther Allison, RIP, just a lot of different things. So I feel like it shaped my versatility and like my ear. So I mean, it really helped me down the road. I feel like for my musical palette to be able to be all over the place with it. So yeah, they definitely are the reason for all this, and they're the root. So yeah, I got to tip my hat to my mom and dad and my grandma. They were a very musical rich family. So I'm blessed.
So you grew up in the Chicago area, which has always had a great sense of music, having also had the sister to Studio 54 there, and dance was a big thing. And then, of course, we had like the Shy Lights coming out of Chicago with Oh Girl and some classics on that. Do you find yourself wanting to sample some of those records that were nostalgic from that era?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the reasons I also got into music too is because, like, obviously, my hometown Kanye West, he was really big into sampling records and like oldies like that. So that's kind of how I got into it as well. Like I feel like, when you're first starting out, you don't necessarily have all the sounds or the sound banks, or don't even know unnecessarily how to do it. So you start off just like grabbing familiar songs and sampling them, and that's literally how I started. So yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the first songs I ever sampled was like Hotel California. What else? Just different stuff. I mean, Aretha Franklin, all different type of stuff. So yeah, it's definitely one of the roots of it too.
And you started out with an MPC 5, which is a steep learning curve for anybody in the music business. What made you decide to pick that up?
And so I got this extreme personality. So I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it all the way. And so, not knowing really what I was getting into, I bought an MPC 5000 and an iMac with like this college tuition check I got randomly. So I just blew it all at the beginning of the semester on that. And like, I didn't even have a software or anything. So I literally was just making beats on the fly, and whatever I made, and I'd have to start over and nothing was saved. So not too long after that, probably 6 months into it, I traded it in, got all this different stuff like a MIDI, microphone, different stuff, a keyboard and software, and then I started learning it that way, and that was totally much easier. Now, honestly, like I want to go back to that now that I have like my all the technicality down. So, it'll be full circle eventually.
Well, I'm sure with the Grammy nom, there's going to be several software companies that are going to be wanting to donate a little software to your cause.
As they should. I hope so.
Do you have a preferred DAW that you work with?
Yeah, I use FL Studio. That's like my go-to. I started off on Logic, but with Logic, I didn't really necessarily feel like the drums were hitting as hard as I wanted them to. So my friends were using FL Studio, and I kind of was like, hesitant of using it. But once I got on it, I was hooked. So that's like my go-to thing now. Like I'll never go back. So just everything in there is so easy. The drum sequencer, I know a lot of people are on Ableton, which is an amazing software, but something about FL Studio just feels like home for me. So that's my thing.
How do you approach layering drums to get an engaging rhythm going?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
How do you approach layering the drums to create a
Oh, okay.
dynamic, engaging rhythm section?
Man, honestly, it just depends. It just depends on the genre. I feel like with pop, they can't be as hard hitting as like trap or hip hop. Afro, it's a different rhythmic pattern. You're going to use more percussions. I just feel like with each different genre, it's different. When it comes to layering them, that's what honestly why I went to FL Studio because of the way the drums just hit so natural. That's one of those things you could program them or play them how you want them, and they just hit so clean. And it's like I got a template for it now, so it's just one of those things where it's like you don't really have to layer them as much. It's just a matter of finding and picking the right sound.
Did you have any people that you kind of followed in the sense of patterning on drums, getting try to take their style?
Yeah, like I mean, Timbaland was my goat. Timbaland, Pharrell, and Kanye. Those are like the three-headed monster for me. I just loved how they were so versatile and so all over the place. I mean, I really also got influenced by 808 Mafia, how they changed everything with like just the whole like huge drum sound and 808s and stuff like that. So I'd say those four different sounds intertwined is
Hmm.
like how I try to bounce back and forth through my drums. That's where I get my influences from for sure.
So I got to tell you, my influence on the drums has been Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis all along. Amazing guys, and when it comes to making music from the Saturday Love, the Prince stuff, and Janet Jackson, I love that pounding kind of sound, and I look forward to hearing more from you doing that kind of stuff with your Afrobeat stuff. So,
Absolutely.
what do you got coming up next?
Man, so I've been working with tons of writers in LA, like a ton of writers that work with a bunch of different artists as far as Party Next Door, Jeremiah, Mario, a lot of Amarion. I've really been attacking the R&B lane ever since the Chris Brown thing. Also, I got some other people I'm developing on the side. I got some people that just did the voice. This girl named Felsmere, she's a up and coming artist. So yeah, I've just been trying to collaborate and spread my wings out here since I literally got to LA 3 years ago. So I'm literally just trying to spread my seeds and literally water them as far as I can go, honestly, But yeah, I've been working with a lot of different writers, and I feel like there's a lot of different opportunities that I've been a part of. At this point, I'm just waiting to see what comes out. You know how that goes.
Yeah, yeah. So, what have been the biggest lessons that you learned already in Los Angeles?
Ooh, man, biggest lessons are definitely have your business in order, definitely have a lawyer, and definitely just, trust your intuition. A lot of people they use this word love bomb you out here and kind of like, tell you that, they can give you the world, they'll sign you, they'll make everything, make your life change tomorrow. But it's not necessarily like that. And everything takes time and you really got to work hard and, trust your instincts and build, and I feel like a lot of people try to take the shortcut just to get to where they're going as soon as they can. But my thing I've learned out here is just take your time, build, and really trust your gut, and use your social intelligence to get to where you got to go, and be aggressive with without stepping on toes, and really just go for it. That's what I learned out here. There's really no prize in being quiet, but also just be really smart and be on top of your business. So that's definitely some things I've learned out here.
What is your favorite genre to work in?
Ooh, I'd say honestly, it used to be hip hop, obviously, because that's what I used to listen to growing up, and in my city, that's what a lot of people do. But man, pop, honestly, because there's just so much room and so many different ways it can go now. Like I feel like music's genreless in a way now. So I just feel like pop's my favorite thing to do because there's no really limit. You can take it anywhere you want to go. You can change it up, and that really just works with my versatility and my imagination. So that's definitely my favorite.
Have you started playing with the AI in music?
Ooh, some of my friends that are writers have they like they'll write a song and then literally drop a plug-in and make it sound like a different like their favorite or whoever they're trying to pitch it to.
Hmm.
I haven't necessarily dove into it yet, but I'm definitely going to because I feel like if you don't use things to your advantage, you kind of just fall behind. So instead of fighting it, I'm gonna find a way to adapt it in my workflow.
That's the best way to do it.
Absolutely.
Do you prefer working in the box or do you prefer working in a studio?
Ooh, man, honestly, when I moved to LA, I was all about like, man, I got to get in the studio. I want to be in this studio and that studio. Now that I have been in all those studios, I feel like the best work I've ever done was at home. Like when I did the very special song for Chris Brown, I did it right in my living room with my girl sitting next to me on the couch. Like he sent it to me and I literally put my headphones on, zoned out and killed it. And like I feel like at home or like wherever you're comfortable at is the best where you get your best work done. So honestly, for me at home has been or wherever like it's the most cozy is where I like it. So that's my thing.
Do you have a particular writing method that you go about?
Ooh, writing method? Man, honestly, I'd say I'd start with melody a lot because I feel like that's kind of the hard part in a way. I feel like once you got a good melody down, it's like everything kind of just falls into play. So a lot of the times I do start with a melody, but if there's a crazy drum pattern in my head, I'll start with that. And if I can't come up with something, I'll send it to some of my collaborators. Like one of my frequent collaborators is my actual cousin. He's really amazing at programming drums, doing everything, honestly. So. I send things around and I'm looking to get the best product out. So, I'm open to everything and I use everything to my advantage as far as inspiration.
When you're working with FL Studio, do you use it like a Pro Tools DAW, or do you use it where you're painting the sections ins and laying down columns and how you want it to play?
I would say a little bit of both. I don't ever record vocals in FL Studio, but I always am, whether it comes to arranging, programming, doing it from scratch, everything's in Fruity Loops for me. Like I usually do all my composing, all my mixing, everything in there. Pretty much, it's been to a point where people don't really even ask for the stems anymore. It's like they've just been putting it out how I mix it, which is a blessing. So yeah.
Oh, that's fabulous. So, where can people find you on social media?
Oh man, people can find me on Instagram at J, that's at Mix, and on Twitter, or X now, I guess you call it, at J_MIXX. But yeah, mainly on Instagram. I'm not really on any other socials like that, but yeah, Instagram's where you can find me, and that's where you can email me stuff and collab and all the above.
Fantastic. I really appreciate you being here and wish you the best of luck when it comes to winning the Grammy.
Oh man, thank you so much for having me. It's been a blessing, and thank you so much for everything. It's been a pleasure.